Welcome to Three Tiny Questions. Three Tiny Questions with Jason Musante, VP Head of Brand Marketing at Masterworks.
Welcome to Three Tiny Questions, where we ask the leading minds in marketing one question each about brands, trends, culture, and whatever else comes to mind, so that the rest of the advertising and marketing industry can get a tiny bit better at it. I'm Tom Chrisman, partner at Tiny, an ad agency devoted to making great work with great people and having great fun doing it. And with me, as always, are my partners, Michael Stupak and Mike Rovner. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
In today's episode of Three Tiny Questions, we've got Jason Musante. He is currently the VP and head of brand marketing at Masterworks, a complete platform for investing in art. Jason is the former chief creative officer at Huge and held leadership positions at Havas, Anomaly, Co-Collective. And Jason has led famous and impactful work for esteemed clients such as Google, Nike, Goldman Sachs, FedEx, GE, M&M's, and even President Obama's digital startup, the United States Digital Service. Welcome, Jason.
We're out of time.
Thank you.
And that's it.
Yeah, great show, everybody. Great show. Thanks.
Awesome.
Jason, tell us a little bit about yourself and Masterworks.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm really excited to be here. Big fan of you all, and Tom. Look to you as a luminary and leader in the industry. So I'm really excited to have this opportunity. Yeah, so I currently work at a startup called Masterworks. Basically, Masterworks is really the premier and one of the first fintech platforms to buy multi-million-dollar works of art, Banksy, Basquiat, Picasso, whole pieces of art, the best of the best. We then securitize that art, file it with the SEC, which enables us to fractionalize it. That's just a big fancy way of saying we enable investors to buy shares that represent an investment in that art on our platform at masterworks.com.
That's very cool.
Wow.
And that was a great ad for Masterworks.
The Three Tiny Questions start now. Mike Rovner, you're first.
He's actually second, but whatever.
Oh, Mike Stupak. Mike Stupak, you're first. We'll fix that in post.
It's all about order.
It's time for question one.
Now, Jason, actually just coming off of your story, which is really fantastic. Your resume is just chock full of titles with the word creative in them, but your skills include things like that one would find atypical, right? With people who are called creatives. You've got, business analysis, CRM, data analysis, budget management, marketing strategy. So please tell our grand and illustrious audience, how did you go about acquiring all of these skills that don't sound like creative, and which of those have been most critical for you taking on this client-side startup role?
Sure. That's a fantastic question. It's one I asked myself about 10 years ago. And, I think, unfortunately, over time, the kind of aura and the role of the star creative, of that, even that word started to gain baggage. And I'm not sure, and we don't have the time probably to dissect where in the road that occurred. My sense is when it became easier for everyone to create, when Photoshop exploded, when the iPhone camera was as good as a Canon, when everyone was on social, when everyone could present their own brand, and the kind of explosion of influencers, somehow the word creative, in terms of it being a vocation, a very highly skilled vocation, seemed to get watered down, unfortunately. And I started noticing that more and more and more. And the path that I took was, I was tired of sitting on the other side of the table with knowing they thought I didn't know what they were talking about. Mm-hmm. And when, go sit over there with your crayons, and when we need some pretty pictures, we'll call you. But, the adults are going to talk about margin, bottom line, run rate, about cash flow, about media matters, about CRM, user journeys, on and on and on and on. I kind of felt like, wait a minute, my opinion, there's a lot of definitions of creativity. Mine very quickly is taking two seemingly non-related ideas and pairing them together. That is my definition of creativity. And I saw in these conversations that they were in need of that more than anything else. And so very simple things. I started asking questions. I always love sitting in a room and saying, I don't know. Tell me more about that. Reaching out to colleagues like Tom, reaching out to people who I saw knew more than me. Really, people love when you reach out in LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter or X and say, hey, I really love what you're talking about. Tell me more. Just start asking questions of your network around you. Two, I started asking to sit in on meetings, at Huge. It started instantly with my CFO and my CEO. I said, hey, do you mind if I sit in on that meeting? Well, it's a budget meeting. Yeah, I would love to sit in on that budget meeting. Slowly over time, I took on the budgets and learning about those things. Three, online courses. There's a ton of online courses that you can do to train yourself up. LinkedIn has a lot of great classes now. And the last thing I did is during the pandemic, when everything kind of stopped, I decided to get my MBA so I could really get kind of that book foundational degree, diploma level understanding of what all that means, putting all the pieces together, and now being as comfortable talking about, margin, talking about cohorts and all the kind of fancy language that people love to put on things that are really very simple, which is our job is to connect with people and make them take an action we want them to take. That's it.
It's time for question 2.
So it's my turn to ask a question. Given that you're in the world of masterworks, literally, you're selling fractional pieces of art, which have become securities now, right? Which is why the SEC is involved. It's amazing. But it puts a premium on the authenticity, of course, right? And if you think about AI, the original AI was like, ripping off masterworks, people that were so good at not mimicking. So that's just a fun way to get to this question and the topic of AI in general. What are your thoughts on AI as it pertains to brands and clients in the future?
AI is like fire. In my opinion, when people ask me what AI is, I go, it's fire. When humans found fire, it was both a tool of destruction and a tool of incredible creation. And I see the same thing about AI. And I am an AI fanboy. Unlike a lot of different kind of tools, which have kind of more of a linear progression of development, AI is like exponential. And I think people who are afraid of it are justified. I think people who think it's going to change the world are justified. And I think people who think it's going to be this incredible tool and it's going to be amazing are just. So I can tell you on the marketer side, on the client side, we're not fearful of it at all, as long as it's not going to disrupt or disintermediate our business. Mm-hmm. We embrace it. I can tell, and I know a lot of my friends, and I hear that. I, of course, follow the Michigas and the conversation still in the ad world about it. Yeah, I would be super worried about it if you're not able to understand it, learn it, and use it as another tool.
It's time for question 3.
So my question to you is I'm gonna make it selfish. So what advice would you give to a small agency starting up in 2023-24?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I have, I have actually consulted with a number of agencies. Some of my friends have gone out, or people I really respect, like you, all have gone out. And, as agencies have kind of become merging, it's leaving a lot of lovely room for, for super creative and solution-oriented people like yourself to really find a niche. And we see a lot of agencies come through, a lot of agency pitches, both from like creative agency, media agency, influencer agencies, every type of put the descriptor in front of agency. I've seen them. You have to have an elevator pitch. I need to know what you do and why you do it differently than anyone else in 30 seconds. I need to be able to see and sell in a model of how you operationalize the special sauce in a way that my CEO, my founders, my stakeholders can buy. And then my third piece of this model is you have to work the way the client wants you to work. And I remember being on the other side of the table and being like, well, this is how we operate. And this is how we would, it's like, yikes. No. This is how we would work with you. Tell us about your company, your business, how you work, and we will seamlessly mesh into how you work. Those are the three pieces. I need to know very quickly your special sauce, what you're selling. I need to know how you operationalize it. And then I need to know very succinctly your plan of how you're going to mesh within my organization and how you're going to operationalize those two earlier pieces into helping me reach my goals. That's it. You do those three things and like you're hired.
Wow.
That's
we've
amazing.
got work to do. We've got work to do.
And you got it in. You got it in. We have less than a minute. I'm going to try to wrap this up quickly. Thank you, first of all. This has been Three Tiny Questions with the absolutely fabulous Jason Musante from Masterworks. Tremendous tiny thanks to him. We are your hosts, the tiny team of Tom Chrisman, Michael Stupak, and me, Mike Rovner. You can check out our agency at tinyagency.com.